So the other day, my client asked me if you're not from a specific country or of a specific culture, is it okay to claim it, right? Or identify as you're from that specific culture or country, right? And it was a good question because for someone who came from the island, I'm from Trinidad, born and raised, right? But I spent 16 years there. So in that 16, the first 16 years of my life, I actually was on the soil. It's something about being on the soil of a specific place, right? Now, small confession. My last name is Gomez. From what I've learned about my grandparents on my father's side, they're Puerto Rican, right? But you'll never see me parading like I'm Hispanic. And it's not because I don't love the Hispanic culture as well, because I do, but it's because of the simple fact that I never lived on the soil. I never ate with the Puerto Ricans. I didn't go to bat with them. I don't know what the air smells like out there. I don't know what the culture feels like to be there. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go through storms with them. It's something about when you go through storms in a specific land or on a specific land. It gives you, I want to say, almost ancestral access. It's crazy. It's very spiritual with that, right? So you'll never hear me parading like I'm Hispanic, even though somewhere down the line there's some sort of Hispanic DNA in my blood, right? I'm 100% black. I'm 100% African. You know what I mean? I more or less identify with being African than I would with being Hispanic, right? And this is just for specific people who say, well, I'm Jamaican, but via my mom and dad, or I'm Nigerian because of my mom and dad. And I'm not gonna lie, some people may want to contend with this, or may have a different opinion. But in my honest opinion, you have to have walked on the soil. In Trinidad, I walked the streets. I walked the slums. I went to school, you know what I mean? Not too far from where I lived. I rubbed shoulders with the villagers. You know what I mean? I experienced some of the same struggles they experienced. You know what I mean? I played soccer. I played cricket. I remember playing soccer barefooted every day in the village where I live. You know what I mean? Um, I've been to their parties. I know how they food tastes on the side of the road. You know what I mean? It's something spiritual about being on the soil before you could claim a certain identity. You know what I mean? And absent that is the reason why a lot of our people today, some of them lack a sense of identity because they don't know where they came from. You feel what I'm saying? And, in my opinion, that's why I don't feel like it's a good thing to mix in race. And I say this only because you have the freedom to, right? But something about the child suffering a lack of identity or suffering a possibility of having identity crisis, I feel like that can be detrimental to a young kid, coming up, because you don't really know where you're from. You know what I mean? So I've learned that at least the first 20 years of a child's life, he ought to spend a consistent amount of years on the soil. Or even if you are, of a certain descent by way of your parents, you still need to visit where they're from so you can be in touch, get in touch with the culture, rub shoulders with the villagers, you know what I mean? Switch, energy, share energy space, see how they live, you know what I mean? Walk a mile in their shoe, if you will. These things is what I feel like gives you a sense of identity when it comes to background. You feel what I'm saying? And I feel like if you haven't done that, there's no way you could claim that you are of a certain race or ethnicity absent being on the soil. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. I'm saying I ain't never give you no game.